Welcome to the Nerd Powwow. Follow us on YouTube where we upload new videos every Friday, or check us out on your favorite podcast platform. Spoiler warnings. We do deep dives on characters, storylines, and theory crafting. With that said, nerds, we're going to talk about the man, the myth, the legend. A B-rank actor with S-tier swagger. That's right, gamers, nerds. We are going to talk about the one and only Bruce Campbell.
We're going to talk some Bruce Campbell.
All right.
He is the man, the myth, the legend. You said it right.
And he may be a B-class actor, but I don't know. He's an A in my book.
Yep. You know what? He, out of all the actors, he's definitely one of those actors that gets the biggest response from people who know him, as far as like, it's Bruce freaking Campbell. So I love Bruce Campbell. He seems like a really down to earth guy too, huh?
He really does. And you know, I almost hate to call him a B movie actor because, I mean, I know the movies are rather slapstick and you have a certain thing to them, but he's like in a class of his own. There's nobody else that has the mannerisms, the character, the kind of weird, quirky riz that Bruce Campbell has. Yeah. He's just a Bruce Campbell actor. That's who he is.
That's exactly really what it is. He has his niche. He has his role. You know, I think there's a level of irony that he has to himself with some of his roles, like kind of the I'm all that, but not really type of aspects to him. I really like that in a lot of his roles. But yeah, he's just like one of those guys that he comes off, at least as his persona, as believing his own hype, but in kind of an ironic way.
Yeah, he does. And he also has this neat ability to have very distinct characters. The characters are distinctly different, yet they all share the same humor. Which sounds really funny, but so he has he'll have a serious character, he'll have a crazy character, a batshit crazy character. He'll have all these different characters, but the humor that they all share that same, you can just tell that they all find the same jokes funny. Even though they're different people, the characters are different. It's like the one thing that sticks with them is this weird, quirky humor. I don't know. I just really love that about him.
Yeah, so. I don't think there's a time Bruce Campbell showed up on the screen that I was like, oh, it's always just, oh, hey, it's Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, never.
Always great.
He showed up a lot of times that I didn't expect him to show up.
All the time.
I was pleasantly surprised every time.
What was it, Xena or Hercules? He was on Xena, right?
Yes, he was.
Yep, he'd pop up on there.
Yeah, the warrior princess. And I just watched
he was the thief, the king of thieves on Hercules and Xena. He was great in that role.
Well, like I say, I just watched Dawn of the Dead 2, Texas Blood Money, and there's Bruce Campbell right opening scene. 5 minutes later, he's dead. The rest of the movie is just not there. I kept expecting he was going to come back as a vampire, but no, he's just gone.
He's got to come back, right?
And that happens so many times with his characters. He disappears.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, what was he? He was two different characters in Spider-Man movies. He was the announcer guy. It just randomly shows up.
He was four different characters in Spider-Man.
Four different characters, yes.
I have notes on this. So Spider-Man 1, the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, he was the pro wrestling ring announcer, and he gave Spider-Man his name. Amazing, right? In Spider-Man 2, he was the snooty usher guy. And then in Spider-Man 3, he was the Maitre d'. He was the guy giving the ring to Peter Parker to give to MJ. And then finally, in Doctor Strange 2, he was the pizza vendor that punched himself in the face repeatedly.
Yep. He never stopped, which of course he did.
Yep.
The man has a real hard time keeping control of his limbs. I'm just saying.
and
he has to cut them off there so bad sometimes.
Yep. But so he's played four different people in Spider-Man movies. When asked about Spider-Man and like the Marvel universe, he really doesn't have a lot of like deep knowledge on Marvel. He just knew that he was showing up for a movie and got a little bit of an idea of what was going on, but he doesn't know anything about it. So like he runs into fan theorists sometimes, right? Right now, the running fan theory is that Bruce Campbell is a different universe's Mysterio. And that's why he showed up in so many different ways in the Spider-Man movies, because he was projecting an illusion. And that's just interesting to think that Mysterio could have been the person that gave Spider-Man his original name.
I love when the fan theories are way better than the fact that he's just buddies with Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi doesn't put out a product that doesn't have Bruce Campbell somehow involved in it. I mean, Hercules and Xena, all that Sam Raimi. I mean, everything he does, he puts Campbell in. So
Bruce Campbell was in Sam Raimi's first ever movie. It's Murder from 1977.
And they've been tried ever since.
I tried to find a way to stream that. I wanted to watch it, and I can't find it anywhere. I really couldn't find it to watch it.
I'll look it up. I have I shouldn't throw it out there to the world, but I might have a way to watch it.
Might be sailing the seas to find that one, but if you find the link, let me know.
I mean, I might be able to.
My first Bruce Campbell anything was Briscoe County Jr. My dad used to watch it in the 90s, and just a hilarious character. It only lasted one season, but it's such a good show.
Yeah.
I think his humor, I think some people just don't get it sometimes. And I think the Briscoe County was classic Campbell. I mean, it was him that way through it, and that smug but also a moron kind of thing he has. Like, he's
really
the smuggest idiot you've ever met.
At the time.
Yeah. Just but I could see that. I could see that show doing better now than it did in the 90s. I think it would be better received. Because
that's the thing with him. I didn't even know about Evil Dead. My dad was not a horror buff at all, so I didn't know about Evil Dead till I was an adult.
That's hilarious. My initial exposure to Bruce Campbell was Evil Dead 2. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had an older brother that loved horror movies, and so I got to see Freddy when I was like 6 years old. Like, we weren't watched very well necessarily. Yeah, it does explain a lot. Oh my gosh! But we got to see the Evil Dead movies. Those were a lot of fun. As a kid, they were scary. Watching them as an adult, though, and they're like remastered forms, like you can see the details of the oatmeal that's used in some of the scenes, and like in a way, it's actually a little bit more gross. Like it looks like really bubbling oatmeal.
Yeah, because I'm not a horror guy either. I'm not really. So I ended up, of the Evil Dead ones, I ended up watching Army of Darkness first because it had this medieval flair to it.
Yeah,
and I thought it was kind of that thing. So I watched that and I was like, oh shit, this is part of a larger thing. And I ended up watching them in like reverse order because 1 and 2 were almost like remakes. I mean, movies were very similar movies. So
right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Wayne.
Oh, one fun fact I learned is Bruce Campbell hates fake blood, and just with him being in Evil Dead, that's all it was is blood, fake blood.
Oh, so that's great.
It's funny that he even put that out there.
Yeah, he probably said that, and his buddy Sam's like, "Oh, you hate fake blood, huh?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great.
Here's more fake blood. Here's a whole bunch of fake blood. You're gonna wear it the whole movie.
Yeah, we're just gonna shower you in the shit.
That's great.
Oh man, I saw an interview with Bruce Campbell, and he was talking about Evil Dead, and we could have had a different universe where Sam Raimi played as Ash. They ended up deciding that Bruce Campbell would play as Ash because he was more handsome than Sam Raimi. So
that's funny.
Bruce Campbell got his claim to fame by being more attractive than Sam Raimi. Imagine.
Really,
that's funny.
And that decision made Sam Raimi a lot of money, so I think it paid off.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, take your friends with you. That's what he did too.
Yeah, exactly.
He did. Like I said, I don't know that he's put out a movie that didn't have at least something with Bruce in there in any way, shape, or form.
I'm sure there's an open invitation for sure.
Yeah.
And then there's a show that just came out recently on Peacock. It's called Hysteria.
Yeah.
It's about 8 episodes, and he plays a cop in that. It's a cult type show, and it's really, really good.
I've heard it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's easy to get into. It's got funny parts. It's got Bruce Campbell parts. I mean, it's a Bruce Campbell movie. Even though he's not the main actor, but he's an important actor.
Yeah.
It's still a really good movie, or show, I should say.
Yeah, I mean the two they're a dynamic duo. I mean they put out great products together. Especially, and I think because because they're such good friends, it allows Raimi to write and produce and direct Campbell in the perfect way. You know what I mean? Having that like level of friendship that you know the other person, you can really write to their strengths and weaknesses. You can invoke earnest reactions out of them because you know how to twist them up with fake blood or whatever. There's all kinds of. It gives you a lot of better insight and ability to do that. It's pretty cool. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, in another thing I liked about going back to Army of Darkness. Army of Darkness was one of my favorite properties of his. Some of the lesser known ones we can get into in a minute, like Bubbah Hotep. My God, do I love Bubbah Hotep?
Bubbah Hotep.
Bubbah Hotep's so good. Yeah, let's get into Bubbah Hotep.
So good. I mean, any movie. I mean, the whole when in the asylum type thing, and you've got what we had.
Bruce Campbell is Elvis. Yeah,
Bruce Campbell's Elvis, who switched with an Elvis impersonator so that he could hide out for a while, and then the Elvis impersonator dies, and nobody believes he's really Elvis. Hilarious in the first part. Then we got a guy John Kennedy survived, but it's a black guy, and they're like, and Campbell's character's like, but you're a black guy, and he's like, Kennedy was black guy. He's like, they died me.
They died me. Yeah,
it's so wrong, but it's so freaking hilarious.
And then he's trying to challenge him, like, well, what do you remember about being Kennedy? It's like, that's the thing. They took a little piece of my brain out and replaced it with a bag of sand. And then later they call it back, and he's like, think, JFK, think. And he's like, I can't think. I'm running on sand. So good. So good. But the epic battle, it's such a the battle at the end of Bubbah Hotep is such like a, the thing, I guess that kind of brings me into a point about Bruce Campbell is like, he is an everyman hero. He's not one of these action heroes that Hollywood has. Not somebody who's been, working out his entire life. You could easily see this guy working under a Honda Civic repair, just like a mechanic guy, salt of the earth guy that gets himself in some crazy situation. And, you can put yourself in his position like, man, I really have to figure out something to kill these Deadites. What would I do? Well, I have a car. Let's go ahead and try and outfit this with some stuff and, fight a war against some medieval screwheads.
Right. No, I don't have a hand. Let's throw a chainsaw on there.
Hey, fuck it. That's some half-cocked idea. Somebody have. Oh my God.
It really is. I mean, like, what's the video game where you're fighting zombies and you can attach all kinds of different things together to make these makeshift weapons? It's really popular.
Is it Dead Rising?
First-person shooter. It might be Dead Rising, where you can just make these like makeshift weapons. But it feels so inspired. The whole game feels so inspired by him.
Well, that's fair. I mean,
it's absolutely Dead Rising.
Yeah,
I can tell by the cover art.
Yeah,
the guy he's got an oar. The front cover for Dead Rising 2, he's holding an oar, and one end of the oar is missing, and he's got a chainsaw slapped on the end of it.
Yep.
I just always, the first time I played that game, I was like, this has got Campbell written all over it.
That's fair. That was a good game. I played a little bit of it back in the day.
I'm playing Dead by Daylight.
I didn't play it through and through, but yeah.
Dead by Daylight, he's my main character, my main survivor.
Yep.
Williams.
Ash Williams. Did you get him up to 100 yet, Wayne?
I'm at 69.
69.
We're getting there slowly.
When you're prestiging a character, you take a while to get past 69. Build your blood points up a little bit. Right. I have my Nicolas Cage up to P100 at this point, but yeah, I stuck it at tier 69 for just a little while because you got to keep that alive for a bit.
That's right. We're getting there.
You're getting there, man.
Yeah, we're getting there with him, but
Ash has some great voice lines in Dead by Daylight too. He's fun. He's got the little puppet hand that looks like it's biting you while you're biting people while you're healing them. You're sitting there working on a generator, and it looks like he's grabbing wires and feeding it to the sock puppet. It's so good.
Samurai Bane, have you watched Jack of All Trades?
No.
So, like a 2-season series of, it's got Bruce Campbell in it, and while we were kind of doing my homework, I saw it. I'm like, I never even heard of this.
Yeah.
It came out in 2000.
So I remember that coming out, and I remember watching it as a kid.
Oh.
I didn't really even like connect that movie even had Bruce Campbell, honestly. Like, or that show. Like, I don't know why I didn't. But anyways, that show was. I remember enjoying it a lot as a kid.
I do remember this being out, but I don't recall watching it at all. When did this come out?
2000.
2000. I knew who Campbell was in 2000. Huh. Yeah. Just slipped past me.
Yep.
But yeah, it's got Vern Troyer in it too. That's funny. But
Bruce Campbell. It's basically, you could throw him in there. Well, that happened tonight. I watched Dawn of the Dead 2. Said Bruce Campbell was in it. I watched the whole movie to see him for 5 minutes. So
Yep. Hey, you just gotta say,
you throw him in there, I'm going to watch it.
It's almost like gosh, Bruce Willis got at the end there. Oh, Bruce Willis movie. It's we'll see how it goes, and then it's just him standing quietly. It's like, oh, things aren't going good for him. Poor guy.
Did you guys watch the Ash versus Evil Dead series?
Yes.
Yeah,
I loved it.
It was good.
It was good.
I love the dynamic of the team in that one. That little team of people were just hilarious. So good.
Did either of you play the Evil Dead game that came out recently?
I did not.
No.
It wasn't super successful. It was a lot like Dead by Daylight or those asymmetrical survival games. Basically, you can play as any of the main characters from Evil Dead. There are 3 different forms of Ash. There's from each different movie, so they have different skills based on which Ash it is, right? And then you have one player that the enemy is playing as the Kandarian Devil, or whatever set of bad guys that they use, and they can fly through the woods, they can move trees, they can cause the players to go insane, and eventually gain control of the players and like run around and try and kill the allies with them. It's a pretty fun game, but it didn't take off, so it didn't get too much traction, unfortunately.
That's too bad. You know that there's I found this in looking things up for the last couple of days about him. There's actually a short that I need to watch from him that came out in 2016, and it's called "The Dangers of Having a Chainsaw for a Hand," and it's just him talking about the problems with having a chainsaw as a hand and all of the dangers. Which I need to see that. I can just imagine that being absolutely hilarious. And it's got Kid Cudi is in the video for some reason too, which I think is funny in itself. But I don't know. I need to see that short. It's just gonna be too funny. But I mean, he's one of the most quotable people.
Oh yeah.
I think there's more Bruce Campbell quotes that I use them. I probably throw out a Bruce Campbell quote once every 3 days without exaggerating. I'm willing to bet that I do, because it just, I don't know. It seems like they fit into every role.
True.
Everything you could do. I just really enjoy his things. I mean, from everything from "Give Me Some Sugar, Baby" to "This Is My Boomstick." I mean, this is this everything. But the Army of Darkness itself was probably one of has the most like one-liners in it that were. I mean, even when the evil Ash in Army of Darkness is trying to say, he's trying to say Sally Forth, I think, and his jaw keeps falling off the whole time he's doing it. Like I've not watched that movie in 15 years, and that clips of it just pop right in clear as day, like Forth. It's just great. I don't know. I love it. Love everything about Bruce Campbell.
His
maniacal laughs. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Oh, the way they couldn't have had a better actor for him for Evil Dead 2. Like, uh, just some of the fevered dream sections. Like, you're like, wow, he's really giving it all to this role. You know, you say what you want. He definitely did.
So much so that it's almost like someone thought up this character, the Ash character, said Bruce Campbell needs to be that character. Let's write a movie around that character, because that's what it felt. I mean, he carried everything. With the only other character that even competed with him in the entire series was the Vine in the very opening scene, because that Vine chasing that girl down in the woods is just like, oh my god, it's so ridiculous. But
I looked it up.
Joking aside,
yeah, I looked it up. I was like, how many movies has Bruce Campbell been in? And even Google couldn't give me a straight answer. It was like, he's been in at least like 47 movies. I'm like, really, Google? That's what you have for me?
As an actor listing in IMDb, he has 171 titles.
Wow. A lot of credits.
Actor titles for previous titles, 171. Some of those are voice titles, because he does a lot of voiceover work for stuff too. So some of it's voice titles, but 171 different productions in one form or another.
It's crazy.
Since, what was his first movie? Oh, he started early.
Yep.
First movie was It's Murder.
No, he's got some things in here that are earlier than that.
1977.
There's a lot of student films too that are like student projects that they had some shorts for on.
It looks like It's Murder was his first movie. Yeah, it looks like, but he was in 10, 15 shorts, maybe more than that. He was like an Oedipus Rex, which is hilarious. Him as Oedipus. Well, he played Creon. He didn't play Oedipus, but still, it's funny. It looks like a lot of them he was in. He was in a short called Son of Hitler. That's probably different. But scary. No Doughboys. Yeah, so it looks like this may have been college level stuff.
Yeah,
he was doing in the early to mid 70s, and then he got into the movies. Even after It's Murder, he did some more shorts, but then he started really picking it up. There's that show called Attack of the Helping Hand, and he's uncredited in the role. I don't know. Just the stuff is funny, but of course, 81 with The Evil Dead was when people fall in love with him.
Now, you guys mentioned Maniac Cop. Have either of you seen it?
I have not seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have seen the first. There's 2 Maniac Cops. Well, at least 2 that I know of.
I haven't seen either of them, so I was just curious how those were.
You're not missing a lot. They're just, I don't know. They're very. I didn't watch it then. I watched it fairly recently, within like last couple of years, as somebody was talking about. We were actually talking about Bruce Campbell stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't date well.
Fair.
Like, if you haven't seen it before, it just doesn't stand that. Some shows date really well. You know, they stand up. It just doesn't. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah. Was he the Maniac Cop?
What's it? No,
he wasn't.
He was. I think. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, was he the Maniac Cop?
I don't think he was. I think it was a different character.
I think McCrae was the. Yeah.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah, he was.
For 1980s movies, love it.
For 1988, yeah. Let's. But yeah, no.
Gosh, now you're going to tell me how Titanic ends. My God.
Actually, I think Matt Cordell was the Maniac Cop. I think, and because I remember this guy's jawline being crazy. Yeah, you guys, Matt Cordell. Well, just Google Matt Cordell.
Yeah,
it's MattCor or his name is Robert Zadar. I should say the actor's name is, but it's Z''DAR. You'll recognize the guy. His jawline is insane. His face is square.
I think when they showed the Maniac Cop and they tried to obscure his identity, they would just show like light behind him, but you could still see that freaking jawline on him.
Yeah.
I saw the previews for it and I was like, holy shit. What alpha chat is this guy?
Yeah. What was that Canadian Mountie cartoon?
Oh, from South Park.
No, it's older than that. It was a.
Well, you look that up. So another show that I had watched a lot with Bruce Campbell was Burn Notice. Have you guys seen Burn Notice?
I never watched Burn Notice.
I watched all of. It's a good show.
Yeah, it was.
Dudley
it was
Do
good.
Right. Dudley Do Right was
Dudley
that.
Do Right
was that. Yeah, he was a Canadian Mountie, and he had that giant like chin that came out there. But it's an old cartoon, like from the '60s. It's Burn Notice. Like I said, it was a great show. It was fun to watch. I actually liked his character better than I did the main character. The main character was kind of overly stoic sometimes.
Yeah,
the guy was just very flat, and sometimes it worked for his character, but other times it didn't work that well for the character. I just felt like you couldn't relate to him. But Bruce Campbell carried a lot of that.
He did. He was a retired FBI guy, right, or something like that, or detective?
Yeah, he was. Yep, he was detective, FBI, something
resourceful
like that.
Guy that could always pull the paper out and hand it to the main character. Is like too cool to even read it all the way. He's just like,
yeah,
been burned.
He did,
and
play
this
always,
is my notice.
He did play a lot of through his career. I mean, he was a bounty hunter in Briscoe County. He cop in Hysteria. He's been a cop a few times, I think.
Yeah. King of Thieves and the Hercules, Legendary Journeys, and Xena. But he's like I said, he has a diverse role. He has a capability of acting different characters, but I still feel like there's that underlining humor, quirkiness that you can't shake. It's always going to be there. It's just it's innate to him, and he's never going to shake it. And I'm perfectly fine with that. There's only a handful of people that have that. He's got that. Nicolas Cage has that. You know, I would put Bruce up here when it comes to never failing me. Because I've watched Nicolas Cage movies that I didn't like. I've never seen a Bruce Campbell thing that I didn't like.
That's true, yeah.
So, but and to a lesser degree, because I don't think he has quite the repertoire, is Alan Tudyk. I think Alan he fits into that role of has a weird quirkiness. It's very him. I don't know. Did you guys ever watch what's that? The Doom Patrol. Did you ever watch the Doom Patrol show or read it?
Doom Patrol is great.
Yeah,
saw it. Yeah,
he played that. He played that guy that was missing parts guy. He's only like partially there. It was a crazy character to play. I mean, it was just a weird, but I can't imagine anyone else playing it like he played it. You know. And then I don't know if you watch Resident Alien. Resident Alien is hilarious.
I mean, he's perfect being an awkward alien. Just trying to figure out how everybody lives. And
then you turn around and watch him in Firefly. Totally different kind of character. And he did things in Firefly. I don't know if you guys have watched all the Firefly episodes, Serenity, Firefly, all that.
I have, yeah.
Yeah. I strongly suggest it's some of the best sci-fi content there is. Like, if it wasn't for Fox screwing it up so bad with the way they aired it out of order. But anyway, in that show, there's one episode where he's usually like an aloof character. He's kind of laid back, and he's just like almost like a little bit passive, but not exactly. And but there's one show where he and Mal are being tortured together, and it changes him. I mean, you could see it. Like he did it so well that you could see this guy evolving and changing through trauma. I mean, the acting level was for this guy that I usually like look to for this humor and this aloofness and this awkward quirkiness, pulled it off. So he's in that same category. There's this weird little subsect of actors that have this like weird quirkiness about them that just works in whatever role they get thrown into. And those three are three that I put into that role a lot, or into that grouping. You guys got anybody else that you think fits in that weird, like has a quirk and just kind of works?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, Alec Tudyk is a very good example.
I mean, hey, a quirky actor, Johnny Depp. I'll tell you what, that's a quirky ass guy, but I love him in all his roles. I love Johnny Depp.
I think he just takes a pill that turns him into the character every time.
It turns out that has to be his method, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, because he just seems to be that person. You know, that's another. There's only a handful of actors that really do that. And Cage actually does that pretty well too. He kind of becomes that thing. But Depp does that to a very heavy degree. Once he got past the pretty boy roles, after he was done with his like Brad Pitt phase,
yeah,
you know, the 21 Jump Street Pretty Boy Crybaby, which was still a good movie, but
yeah,
but the once he got past that, and he just became, I don't know, he assumes this role and you kind of just believe it.
He just hit the ground running with Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though there was a lot of controversy about it and etc., and the way he handled that controversy was such grace and way to do it. But when he played Tonto in the Lone Ranger,
yeah,
because there was a lot of grief given to him, him playing it. But
he was perfect.
He owned the role. He owned the role. He did a great job on it, and he I don't know. He had a lot to say about it himself afterwards, and I feel like he handled it really well too. But even that role, that's in no way, shape, or form him, and he was able to just be this character. It was, especially in a movie where the Lone Ranger should never be taken for serious. It's based off of an old spaghetti western show where everything was over the top anyway, in an era of television where nothing was authentic. You know what I mean? So it almost was fitting to see him doing this and being like it was. So, but just to his credit that he's able to kind of pull that stuff off, especially how he's matured as an actor himself. Yeah, he can.
That was the show
was fantastic.
That was the show I watched as a kid as the Lone Ranger with my dad. He loved those westerns, so I was very familiar with the Lone Ranger. So when that movie came out, we watched it at the theaters together, and I don't think he was too impressed with Johnny Depp, but I thought it was perfect. He was perfect.
Funny.
And there's another actor.
What was he in? I liked him as Wonka. Most people didn't like it because their only experience with Willy Wonka was the original movie.
Yeah.
Whereas his movie followed along the book way better. The book is dark. The book is not as light and eerie, even though there was some dark spots in the original Wonka. But
sure.
I thought he pulled it off. That weird, like, awkward, kind of traumatized by his dentist father, Candyman. I don't know.
Some people are just always going to be upset if they aren't spoon-fed the same content that they were given when they were a kid or whatever. Sometimes it's okay for a little bit of change and a little bit of difference, but I don't know. I could also see his appearance being a little bit off-putting as Willy Wonka, especially if you love Gene Wilder and his performance in so I kind of get it, but also it's like, it's all made up anyways. What's it matter?
Yeah, it is. It's funny you mentioned Gene Wilder though, because he kind of fits in that role. He's almost the predecessor of the quirky role guy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was that guy. He always had that kind of, like him in Blazing Saddles. Oh my god, his Blazing Saddles is a great movie anyway. But Gene Wilder in Blazing Saddles, come on, he's fantastic. And anything he did with Pryor, was it Stir Crazy, and what was the other one to do with Pryor? He did a few of them, but they're just, I don't know if you guys watched much of his older stuff when he did it, like him and Richard Pryor together. It's just perfect.
Good stuff. And then who's that other actor back in those days? He did Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He just disappeared.
He retired from it. It's
oh
my god, his name's right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I could see him.
Yeah,
Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis. Yeah. I guess he retired from acting just to spend time with his kids.
Yeah,
he got all the money he needed from acting and just left Hollywood. It's crazy.
Yeah, who else did that? But now he's back. Is oh my god, now his name. He's the one that's always going around with Martin Short. It's Steve
Martin.
Steve Martin. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Steve Martin's another one. He had that quirkiness about him, and he's back. He's making it, like, I've been watching that Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
It's Martin Short, and it's a good show. It's kind of neat. It's just a little change of pace for me. I'm usually like a fantasy sci-fi comic book guy, so it's a little bit of a change of pace for me. But I was watching specifically because I like the Steve Martin. I used to like his old weird campy shows like The Jerk and things like that. They were neat, but he fits in that kind of quirkiness too, that quirky actor guy.
And I even think Robin Williams fit really well in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta love Robin
He
Williams.
almost fits a class. Yeah. He almost fits in a class of his own. That guy almost transcends anybody else.
It's true.
I mean, Lady Doubtfire.
Everyone. What's that?
Lady Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Or Mrs. Doubtfire.
Everything he touched.
Oh, that's right.
Mrs.
Doubtfire. Lady.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, one of my favorite roles of his is kind of a lesser known thing that I thought was, but it's another one I quote all the time. Did you ever see this movie Fern Gully?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He plays this deranged bat that's been experimented on, has an antenna in its head. He's the voice of that bat. It gets different channels, keeps having to hit the antenna, and it gives him different channels. It's like, puff up. They hate it when you do that. I mean, I probably say that once a month. It's just, that was one of my favorite things that he voiced over. Yeah, puff up. But yeah, Robin Williams got it. He's like hero status in my mind. I mean, he's just a legend. I can't. I don't know that anybody's gonna top that guy out in my book of comedic spontaneity.
Oh man, if you've ever seen his stand-up comedy, that guy looks like he is going to die of heat stroke on the stage. You see his little Hawaiian shirt he's wearing, you just see sweat dripping from the bottom of it. By the time he's done, there's just a pool of sweat on the ground underneath his microphone. Yeah, like
was practically a Wookiee though. You ever see him with his shirt off?
Guys covered in hair, just sweating ridiculous. It's crazy. But man, he kills it every time.
He does. I read that a lot of writers and directors and stuff really struggled, especially when he was coming up before he was Robin Williams, because they would write it out saying he just gets in there and starts saying his own shit all the time.
Mork and Mindy,
they were kind of put off by it.
Well, he got in a lot of trouble with Mork and Mindy with the producers because he. So he's playing. I in that show I heard the story. So he's playing a character from outer space or whatever, right? And so he has this made up language and he's going off script and he's saying stuff and nobody knows what he's saying. Turns out he learned some obscure like Islander language and he's saying obscenities on TV and trying to get this stuff past the censors. So he had people like had to watch what he was doing at all times on that set.
That's great.
Hilarious. And that's good. Good for him. Good for him.
Good for Robin Williams, causing a little chaos.
Yeah.
He made a great genie.
It's true. Loved him as the genie.
Yeah, I mean, it's quotable people. You go from Bruce Campbell to Robin Williams, just these people that, they stick with you because there's a million actors out there that I've never quoted in my life. A million successful actors that I've never quoted in my life. And here's these couple of guys that I probably say 50 of their lines at any given time. There's just an arsenal of lines there for me.
Rich content.
Like the boomstick.
The boomstick.
I love the boomstick.
Love the boomstick. Speaking of boomsticks, do you know where you can get a boomstick from?
Where's that?
Well, this episode of the Nerd Powwow is proudly not sponsored by S-Mart. All right, you nerd screwheads, listen up. The 12-gauge double-barreled Remington is S-Mart's top-of-the-line boomstick. We have everything from chainsaws, we have who's-its and what's-its galore, and finally, we have Kandarian daggers. We've got two. Come on down, shop S-Mart. Shop smart, shop S-Mart. You got that?
Got it. Love it.
That's where you can get your fancy pants.
Even get your fancy pants. Oh man, yeah.
I need one of those shirts.
I love it.
And the little shorts.
They have to.
The little shorts.
The little shorts with it. Got to go with those.
Yep.
That's too good. Yeah, Mr. Campbell, man, he's just, like I said, few actors that I don't care what the movie's about. If he's in it,
yeah,
I want to give it a shot. I want to see what it's like.
And that's what it seems like. He doesn't really, or it's not advertised what he's going to be in. It's a shock treatment. All of a sudden, he's in this movie, and it's really cool because it's Bruce Campbell.
Yeah,
he does
his cameo ability. It's remarkable. Just because there's no, you feel like there should be some fanfare behind it because it's Bruce Campbell. He's great.
Yeah,
you should be like, oh, Bruce Campbell's going to be part of this movie. Nope, he just walks by, starts punching himself in the face randomly in a hot dog stand. You never know. You never know.
Spiderman.
If you were going to cast Bruce Campbell as a superhero in the MCU or the DCU, who would it be? We know the Mysterio thing, the Mysterio theory of Spider-Man, but who would he?
So this
who would
is
he actually
DC,
be a good version of?
But I could see him being the Riddler.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Jim Carrey
that.
did a good Riddler, but Robin Williams was even the Riddler at one point. But I can see Bruce Campbell doing it.
You know what?
He could actually.
Go ahead. I was just thinking there is a character that Bruce Campbell could play from the comics, and that's Ash Williams, because Ash Williams had crossovers, and I'm sure at least Marvel and DC, right? Had to have.
Right.
Oh, easily, yeah.
I
think he'd do a good job at Ash Williams. What do you think?
I think that needs to be in the MCU, honestly. Like, you have Sam Raimi directing this stuff. Bring him in.
You have the Avengers, you have the X-Men, you have Ash Williams. Right?
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Right. I mean, one of the portals open up. You zoom in on in Endgame. You zoom way in. There's a little portal in the corner. He just walks out.
Chainsaw. Ready to go, guys.
In a 1979 Buick, just falls through the portal. He's just looking around bewildered. There's some purple guy and flying alien saucers. And he's like, groovy.
And of course, groovy. Pitch line.
Yep.
And of course, he's covered in fake blood. It's got to have that.
Yeah, the first thing is he just gets doused in blood from... Oh my gosh.
Poor guy.
What are friends like Sam
That's
for?
Too funny. Right? Yeah, I think that he could pull off though. I'd love to see him in a bigger role in those universes. I think that his quirkiness would fit well in some of the roles, especially in a role in like I actually thought that as much as I'm a Goldblum fan, I think he did a great job as the Game Master. Campbell could have pulled off the Game Master. He also could have done it. So I actually thought that it would have been nice to have, instead of having, was it Benicio del Toro played the Collector? I believe it was Benicio del Toro in the Marvel movies. I would rather have, because the Collector and the Game Master have, in the comics, they play games versus each other a lot. And they just use people as pawns, heroes as pawns and stuff. And I would love to see Jeff Goldblum versus Bruce Campbell. Those two on the screen at the same time. They're so different and so odd. Both of them are so odd. I just want to see that happen. It's either going to be a hot mess that has no synergy, or it's going to be the greatest thing that's ever been made.
In between.
It's going to be one of those two things. No in between. It's not going to just be it was okay. It's going to be like, this fucking is awesome, or what just happened?
No, I like that. That's a good casting for him.
Yeah.
Go back, the MCU character. What do you guys think? What do you think he would be good at?
Well, that's what I was saying. I think I would have wanted him as the Collector instead of Benicio. Yeah. As a hero role, it's got to be something that's, I'd almost cast him what was his name? He was one of the earlier X-Men. Mimic. I don't know if you remember Mimic. Mimic could use the other X-Men's powers. Like he had a visor. He had wings. Sometimes he was winged with the visor and beast-like things. He was a lesser-known character. He kind of went in and out, but the character was odd, and it would be more of a serious role for him. But I think he could carry the role really well. Just knowing his demeanor and seeing him in those roles, I wouldn't mind seeing him in that. And it works for the small little bit, because it seems like Bruce Campbell likes to be just like in it for a minute. He's he's done with his Evil Dead. He's done with his extended. Now he just wants to go and do his like 5 minutes of fun and then leave. And Mimic would be a good character for that.
Yeah, something just to be in there for 5 minutes.
If I didn't love Ryan Reynolds so damn much for Deadpool, if we could take Bruce Campbell at any age and put him in the MCU, I'd say take a younger Bruce Campbell and throw him in as Deadpool. I think that would work.
His personality would fit perfectly for that.
Yeah.
He could definitely. So. It would be a different Deadpool, but it would definitely work.
If they did Deadpool in the 90s and they just produced it then, I think he'd be a natural fit for that time and era for sure.
Yep, for sure. I could see that. I could definitely see that. But it's kind of hard to think of anybody but Reynolds. I mean, somehow Reynolds just is Deadpool.
It turns out, yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is Green Lantern.
I'm glad we got this new bowl cut guy for Green Lantern.
Oh Lord,
Nathan Fillion, right?
I'm such a Nathan Fillion fan. He's another actor that there's things that I watch that are atypical to my watching that I watch specifically because I enjoy that guy's character so much. Nathan Fillion is just great. Have you ever watch Doctor
Horrible Sing-Along Blog?
Yes.
Yep.
You ever watch that? It's fantastic.
Oh, it's great. That has Felicia Day or what's her?
Felicia Day.
Yep.
It's Felicia Day.
Yep.
Nathan Fillion and
Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yep. You know what?
It's fantastic.
There are times.
It's a must watch.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's like a 50-minute little short on YouTube. It's free. Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Blog. There are times where Laura and I will be driving to Ohio and it's like, what are we going to listen to? You know what? We don't have anything else to say. All right, we're going to play Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Blog and we have our own little roles in it. We'll sing the whole freaking way out to Ohio or, wherever we're going.
Gotta have fun. Are you guys familiar with The Guild?
The Guild. Negative.
Felicia Day, The Guild.
No.
So that was another YouTube thing. It's about a group of people that have a guild in a video game. It's very Warcraft adjacent, without using licensing, basically. And there's a whole cast of characters. Felicia Day is kind of the main character, but she's more of an ensemble cast of people, but you don't really know the other people. They're not as big as she is, but this is where she kind of started. And it was a webcast show, little shorts. Another one. If you haven't watched The Guild, and being the gamers that you guys are, especially tabletop, just watch it. It's fantastic.
This is the third time I've heard about it, so I have to at this point.
You have to. It's so good. And they're coming out. They're coming out now with The Guild the musical.
Oh wow!
It's top notch. Everything about the show is, there's not a bad thing to say about The Guild. It's just great. You're talking about those little awkward things that happen when you have a community grow inside of a Discord or a video game guild or whatever. All of those weird dynamics and all that shit happens. There's that awkwardness. You got other guilds that are constantly like griefing them. I mean, it's okay. Great. You know who becomes one of the big characters in it is Will Wheaton becomes one of the big characters in the show, and I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he plays Will Wheaton too.
That's great.
But if he doesn't, then he's basically. But either way, it's great. It's a fantastic show. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's a different character. But either way, it's the show is just good. Yeah. They have their avatars. So you get to see their avatar characters, and there was another one that it's by the same kind of people. There's some of the crossovers was it's a parody of the Legend of Zelda. It's like this Legend of Earl or something like that. In that Felicia Day is Tinkerbell.
Okay.
Interesting.
It's not it isn't the Legend. It's gonna kill me. But I'll have to look it up off of her IMDb. But
yeah,
it's good too. That's the same kind of humor, but it's basically a guy that gets dropped into what's the realm for Zelda?
Hyrule.
Hyrule. Yeah, he gets dropped into Hyrule, and he's just like and he's just not a great person. and it's kind of it's got adult content. I mean, not graphic, but there's like his encounters with Tinkerbell are not PG.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, you don't see it. It's all kind of off kind of camera stuff, but absolutely hilarious shows. And they're short. I mean, they're little blurb things like that. And she was the star in the Dragon Age movie too. That like low budget Dragon Age movie they made.
Yeah.
She was pretty good in that. She played like an assassin. I don't know. I'm just a big fan of hers. I fanboy over her all the time. I think she's great.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I like real people, and she seems like a real person.
Yeah.
She does not, Hollywood seems like people start becoming something else. They're different. They become a different kind of entity, and she's very just a legit cool person, like the kind of person you want to like bullshit with.
It's kind of like Henry Cavill too. Like he's just a regular. Yeah. He's a pretty regular guy. Like, yeah, sure, he's jacked and has a bunch of talent, big famous movie star, and just like everyone else. But
I can't wait for the Cavalry.
He plays awesome in his roles, but he actually loves the characters. He's really big into Warhammer 40K. He's big into PC gaming. So he's one of those actors I think of as, one of those down to earth kind of guys. So
yeah, I think so. I agree. I think the Cavill's a good dude. The problem is like, I'm amazed that Campbell has remained humble. Yeah. You just watch other people on stage with him, and they're literally like melting in front of him. I mean, they're just taken by the guy.
Yeah.
But the fact that the fact, I mean, he's the guy's an Adonis. I mean, but the fact that he can remain humble in light of that kind of admiration and things like that speaks a lot to his character too. Speaks a whole lot to his character. I cannot find the name of that Zelda parody with Felicia Day to save my life.
Fair enough.
The Legend of Neil. I just found
Legend of Neil. Okay.
The Legend of Neil. Yep. The guy who does this stuff, he created both that and the Guild, is Sandeep Parikh. He's one of the main characters in the Guild. I don't know that if he's in the Legend of Neil, it's in a lesser role, but that guy puts out great content. He's just got great content.
Nice.
See him get some kind of bigger role.
We talked before about the unbearable weight of massive talent and that role. Did you know there is a movie called My Name is Bruce, where B-movie horror star Bruce Campbell plays himself? Mm-hmm. He spends most of his time wisecracking with his agent, played by Ted Raimi, drunk dialing his ex-wife, or dealing with the occasional singing prostitute. But then he is kidnapped by his teenage fans in Oregon, who think the Evil Dead hero Campbell can help fight off a real-life monster. Campbell finds himself battling a dragon and trying to make a good impression on a teen's pretty mother, not necessarily in that order.
Yeah, I have seen that movie too. It's good.
It was so good.
It's been a while since I've seen it. Yeah,
it's one of those movies because of the antagonist, 1T, and some of the jokes that were made in that movie. They couldn't make it today, I don't think. I don't think that movie would be released today. But it's it's one of those, if you go back and you want to put your little your time machine on, go back and check that movie out and just know it was a different time.
Right.
But there's sometimes that humor that people like him use is
satirical in nature, kind of.
Yeah, it's satire.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really miss the fact that satire is emphasizing how ridiculous what they're saying is. You know what I mean? They're saying they're saying that thing, but it's satire, which satire by design is making fun of something that's so ridiculous that people shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that satire is a dying art because people just don't realize that yes, they're saying the words, but they're actually speaking contrary to the words. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really hate that because there's a lot of people that are really great. Satire is a great tool. It's a great proponent.
It's a great tool. I think satire is a great tool narratively, and it can really point out the hypocrisy of some ideas and what people do, but also like I kind of get like satire is kind of dying because, well, maybe we don't get too much into politics, but I can see where satire is died off a little bit. I do agree that it has for different reasons, but
I just miss it. Just speaking directly to satire itself, I just miss it because I love how satire makes ridiculous things that I personally think are ridiculous. It makes them look ridiculous.
Yeah,
I like making things that are big and ugly look small and stupid. And satire is the best mechanism for that. It's such a. I mean, look at. I'm not going to quote it, but you guys have watched Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. Yep.
Like that movie, and that movie is. If you were to take it out of context or not watch it,
can you quote it, please? Can you say the words, please, for me?
No.
I'll believe it. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, not happening. But I mean, it's so satirical that it just shows you how stupid it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I loved it. I mean, Brooks is great for that.
Absolutely.
And he's just fantastic for that. And I just kind of miss it. I kind of miss the making big ugly things look small and stupid and laughed at. That's the power of satire, and I love it. So
take down giants that way.
We shall see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. But yeah, Bruce Campbell definitely could take us down a million roads, and I just love the guy. He's great.
The best roads.
The fact that he's in that new show Hysteria. I mean, he's still out there doing stuff, so he's not going away.
I think that's the thing about.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really good. You'll like it.
I think that's the thing about him and Raimi is they both love film so much. Like it's all they've done with their entire lives, and I don't think anything's gonna stop that. I mean, if he can't act anymore, he's just gonna produce and direct. Like, and Campbell has a history of that as well. Wasn't he one of the producers on the newer Evil Dead movies? He was a producer for those, right?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Evil Dead Rise.
Yep.
Which I liked it, but I didn't like it like the other ones because
didn't have Bruce Campbell.
Ash Williams, even though he's referenced in there, he's not in there. And that
like I said, those movies were a movie that happened around the reason that I'm there watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were the frosting on a great cake. He's the cake.
Because, Evil Dead Rise was focusing basically on the entity, where maybe that's what Evil Dead 1, 2, and 3 was supposed to be, but not for me. It was Ash Williams. That's really what that was for me.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true. Yeah. Very cool.
Bruce. All right, nerds. Well, I think does anybody else have anything else on Bruce Campbell or the horror genre and any of that stuff?
Hail to the king, baby.
Hail to the king, baby. All right, nerds. Well, it's been a great episode, and thanks everybody for sticking around watching. Make sure to like, follow, check us out on YouTube, Spotify. We're all over the place. Check us out on Facebook. We're posting on there. We got a nice little thriving group. Shout out to our super fan, David Cordy. Thanks for keeping the group alive and sharing all the wonderful things you do. Nerds, this is the Nerd Powwow signing out. We'll see you later.
See ya.